Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. In the bright lobby of a Manhattan skyscraper, immense windows filtered in the morning light, making the white marble floor shimmer. Alicia Johnson, a black businesswoman in a perfectly tailored suit and stiletto heels clicking on the floor, walked confidently toward the elevator. Her electronic organizer in one hand, her state-of-the-art smartphone in the other, she embodied success and elegance. But that day, the world seemed determined to judge Alicia not by her skills, but by her appearance. As she walked past the lobby, a man in a gray uniform, armed with a broom and a duster, stared at her with a mixture of contempt and certainty. "Excuse me, the conference room is on the 15th floor?" Alicia asked, polite but firm. The man, convinced that she was just a cleaning lady, shook his head and replied condescendingly, "No, miss, you should be cleaning the hall, I think." Time seemed to stand still. Passers-by froze, some discreetly pulling out their phones to film the scene. Alicia, her face impassive, felt her blood boil. But instead of responding with anger, she smiled icily and produced a glossy business card. "I am Alicia Johnson, CEO of Johnson Tech Industries." The man instantly turned pale. The murmurs in the lobby turned into a chorus of surprise. People who thought they were witnessing an ordinary scene had just seen a lesson in public humility. Alicia, without wasting a second, headed for the elevator, leaving behind a heavy silence and a video that would quickly go viral across the United States. What began as a simple misunderstanding quickly exposed an uncomfortable truth. In a country where appearances too often guide judgments, power and intelligence can be invisible to those who refuse to see. The following morning, Alicia Johnson stood outside the 15th floor conference room. Selected executives and investors were already waiting, some in dark suits, others in smart suits, all eager to discover the new strategies of Johnson Tech Industries. But before the meeting even began, a rumor spread through the lobby. The woman who had been mistaken for a cleaning lady was actually the CEO herself. Phones buzzed, and a video of yesterday's incident was already circulating on social media, racking up hundreds of thousands of views in just a few hours. Alicia entered the room with her usual confidence. Every step seemed to say, "I am here, and I am the master of my own destiny." She greeted the attendees, took the floor, and unveiled a bold development plan for her company. Her ideas were innovative, her presentation impeccable, but it wasn't just her expertise that captivated the audience, it was the way she had transformed yesterday's humiliation into a demonstration of strength and leadership. In the lobby, the doorman who had humiliated her stood silent, unable to meet her gaze. Building employees, witnesses to the previous scene, exchanged embarrassed glances. The situation had taken a public turn that no one could have foreseen. During the conference, Alicia received anonymous messages and calls from journalists. Some wanted to cover the story as a scandal, others as an example of triumph over racism and prejudice. She smiled inwardly, knowing that the incident would become a symbol far beyond Manhattan. At the end of the meeting, Alicia went down to the lobby. The guard saw her and, this time, bowed slightly, ashamed. Alicia passed by without a word, but a smartphone camera captured her every move. She had just transformed a humiliating moment into a powerful message. Underestimating someone because of their skin color or appearance could backfire spectacularly. And that was just the beginning. The following morning, Alicia Johnson arrived at her office as usual, but the atmosphere was different. Her phone was constantly vibrating. Notifications were pouring in, the video from the building's lobby had been shared millions of times. Hashtags like #RespectAlicia and #Don'tJudgeByAppearance were flooding Twitter and Instagram. National news networks picked up the story. On CNN, an anchor showed the video, commenting, "What appeared to be a simple misunderstanding reveals a deeper problem, everyday unconscious racism." In online comments, thousands of people expressed their support and admiration for Alicia. Some even shared their own humiliating experiences, and the story became a symbol of the fight against prejudice. Meanwhile, the building's caretaker, the one who had mistaken her for a cleaning lady, was summoned by his supervisor. He trembled as he considered the magnitude of the incident. His career was now in jeopardy. In his office, his superior told him, "You have created a national scandal, and you are responsible." Alicia, however, wasn't seeking revenge. On the contrary, she decided to use this exposure to send a powerful message. She organized a meeting with the building's management and proposed an awareness program for all staff members to combat everyday discrimination. She transformed the initial humiliation into a concrete project to change attitudes. On the streets of New York, passers-by recognized Alicia and applauded her. The media came to interview the CEO, who was mistaken for a cleaning lady. Even Black public figures and influencers praised her courage and dignity. But despite this massive support, Alicia knew that some people would continue to judge her before even getting to know her. And she was ready to hit even harder to make it clear that respect is non-negotiable. The chapter ends with Alicia looking out of her office window. Beyond the Manhattan skyscrapers, an idea was taking root in her mind. An idea that would transform this humiliating incident into a national lesson about dignity and power. A few days after the video went viral, Alicia Johnson decided to turn the humiliation into a symbolic act. She announced at a press conference that she would be offering a full scholarship for young Black women wishing to enter the world of business and technology. The event took place in the same hall where she had been humiliated, with journalists, cameras, and members of the public gathered to witness this historic moment. Upon her arrival, the guard, who had mistaken her for a cleaning lady, stood back, visibly nervous. Alicia didn't say a word to him, but everyone could feel the weight of her presence. She stepped onto the platform and spoke confidently. Yesterday, this hall was just a place to pass through. Today, it has become a symbol. A symbol that no one, regardless of their role or appearance, deserves to be judged before they are known. And above all, that dignity and talent deserve to be recognized. The journalists were captivated. The scene made the rounds of national media. Television channels showed the security guard sitting in the front row, red with embarrassment, while Alicia announced the launch of the Johnson Fellowship for Women's Excellence. The reactions were immediate. On social media, users praised her initiative and denounced the everyday racism that many endure in silence. But Alicia didn't stop there. She publicly invited the guard to come and testify before the media. Trembling, he finally went on stage and, with his eyes downcast, confessed his mistake and his prejudices. Alicia extended her hand to him, offering a gesture of reconciliation and a lesson: "We can all learn and change, if we want to." The scene was striking. The hall where she had been humiliated just days before was now the stage for a public lesson in respect, tolerance, and the power of dignity. The entire United States was watching the story unfold, shocked by the initial humiliation but even more impressed by how Alicia had transformed it into a national lesson. The chapter ends with Alicia leaving the hall to cheers, aware that this was not just a personal victory, but a message for the entire country. Underestimating someone because of their color or appearance can backfire spectacularly, and true strength lies in dignity and resilience. A few weeks after the press conference and the launch of the Johnson Fellowship for Women's Excellence, Alicia Johnson received an unexpected invitation. She was invited to a highly watched national television program to tell her story and talk about her initiative. The cameras were focused on her, and the studio audience held its breath. During the show, the host brought up the infamous video in the Manhattan lobby and asked Alicia how she felt at the moment of the humiliation. Calmly and seriously, Alicia replied. It wasn't just a personal humiliation. It reflected a problem that many refuse to see: judgment based on appearance or skin color. But every ordeal can become an opportunity if we choose to respond with dignity and strength. Then, in an unexpected and symbolic gesture, Alicia invited the guard onto the stage. Trembling, he publicly apologized for his behavior. Alicia extended her hand to him, and the moment was captured by millions of live viewers. This simple act of reconciliation, courage, and leadership transformed the story into a national event. American and international media outlets covered the story for weeks. Schools, businesses, and even local governments organized campaigns to raise awareness about everyday racism and the importance of respecting every individual. The hashtags #RespectAlicia and #DignityWithoutBorders went viral, symbolizing a movement of collective awareness. But the most striking thing was the public's reaction. Thousands of young black women sent messages to Alicia, saying that she had changed their perception of what was possible and given them the courage to fight for their dreams. Standing before the cameras, Alicia realized that that humiliating moment in the Manhattan lobby had triggered a far greater impact than she could have ever imagined. The chapter ends with Alicia looking out at the city from her office, a glint of determination in her eyes. The skyscraper that had witnessed her humiliation was no longer a symbol of shame, but a symbol of victory and change. A lesson etched into the contemporary history of the United States: dignity, courage, and resilience can transform any humiliation into a force that shakes an entire nation.